Hey guys, this is Locke. This video is going to do an in-depth review of Lara Croft. In short, I feel that she is skippable. I will get into the reasons why, but I do think she does have a place. Like, she's not a bad unit. It's just there are other factors that make her be skippable, at least for me. Um, so first of all, I'm going to go with her TMR. I think her TMR is actually very, very good. The TMR could be useful on many units, like for example Cloud, if you don't want to run another Ranger next to him, and you want to run him on Gunner sub, sorry, not Gunner sub, on Ranger sub, then this TMR is going to give him an extra range and extra critical damage. That critical damage increase, 35 is huge, and that will be for all types of damage. And that's also 2 casts of the skill, so you don't even have to be careful about exactly when to use it. Like if you 3 turns pass, you can use it again. So I think this TMR is really nice. Also, the stats on it is really nice because it gives you 6 agility and 6 accuracy, 12 evade. Those are all very good stats. So I really like this TMR, but I don't think the unit is worth getting just for the TMR, um, especially as it's a limited unit. But I think the TMR is really nice. Now moving on, let's look at the stats. So her attack is not bad. It's at 456. She has very high agility at 68. Her dexterity is really high, which is kind of similar to other rangers, like for example, Federica or Lucia. Very high dexterity values. Her luck is 257. This is kind of similar to Tifa's luck. So it's pretty high. Like I think it's within the top 10 units when you rank by luck in the index. But it's not like, for example, as high as 2B, but it is still pretty high. I like her resistances because the negative resistance to pierce and strike are not commonly seen. Her biggest threat right now is for example, Federica. So the 15 missile resistance is nice. I don't think it's going to save her from Federica, but it's still nice. I mean, you can, I guess, build her up with even more missile resistance with other VCs and gear, I guess. So that 15 is definitely appreciated. Like if it's negative, that'll be a very hard place to start, right? Um, the negative thing about this is her HP. It's 2,698, which is kind of on the lower end. I think being a gunner and having all 3 gunner subs, I think that was kind of expected, but it's still a little bit lower than I really would have thought. But it is what it is. Um, she has many good things, but her HP is not one of them, I guess. Now we'll go into the skills. Um, so, as I mentioned before, like in my pre-analysis video, I assumed she would have concentrate and ranger lore, and she does. So she does have the same range as Frederica. She also has access to uh, aim to fire if you're going with gunner sub, so she can have exactly the same range as Federica. But you probably wouldn't go with gunner. I'm assuming you're gonna go with ranger sub, so you will need somebody else to give her that +1 range skill, or like plus 38 missile attack skill. Or you can also use her TMR, which will also increase her range. And her TMR, +1 range from her TMR will not stack with the aim to fire +1 range, so it's either or. Uh, I mean, if you're using her gunner sub, maybe you don't have to use her TMR. If you're using her TMR, maybe you can go with her ranger sub or something. There are 2 different options, right? Um, and also going back to her passive, the thing is, like, she has a really good passive on her main sub. It gets increased to Ace Adventurer when you get her to level 120, and it gives you 40 defense penetration, 20 evasion, and 15 critical. And most likely, you're probably going to be taking that over like one of her range skills, most likely over her ranger lore skill. So most of the time when she's being run, I'm going to assume that she will have less range than Federica just because her other passive is just so good. But this does put you at a disadvantage against Federica because most of the time Federica is now going to be able to hit you before you can hit her. Um, Now, if you look at her skills, like her main job, she has a couple of skills that are unique to her. The first one is Adrenaline, which increases her attack for allies by 40%, and then it also increases her AP by 15. It provides 28 TP, so that'll be an extra 14 AP. So by using the skill, she will get 29 AP. It has 3 casts, so you can use it, quite a few times, and build up her AP that way. So she's not as reliant on bells as some of the other units. Like for example, Frederica, you really want to have bells on her. Uh, Niblu, you want to have bells on her because again, like they use a lot of AP and they have limited ways to regenerate that AP. So Lara is different in that she has a skill already that gives her a lot of AP. She also has another skill, True Shot, which breaks barriers and gives you 10 AP when you perform a critical hit. So that effectively lowers the cost down to 23. Sorry, from 23 down to 13 AP. So you can use it, spam it a lot as long as you keep critting, which I'm assuming you are because she has very high dexterity values and a lot of crit in her board and stuff. Um, and then she has Steady Shot, which has a chance to blind, and double bullets, which as you're doing damage, it also increases your evasion rate. Um, if you look at her, her passive, it gives you 20 evasion. Her mastery gives you like 5 evasion. She has a lot of luck. So she can be built as an evade unit. And as you're building as an evade unit, you can use these two skills together, which increases your evasion by 25 and also decreases target's accuracy by 80%, I guess, if you have a chance to land blind. Like if you have a chance to land the blind, it's only a 25% chance, so you're probably not going to be running it at 97 faith, I'm going to assume. So you probably won't have such a high chance to land blind, but if you do, I mean that'll be great because for units that don't have guaranteed hit, they're probably going to be doing they're probably going to have a lot of trouble trying to hit you. And then her last skill increases missile resistance penetration by 30 for 3 turns, and then does damage. So you have to use the skill. You have to use the skill on an enemy first before you increase your missile resist penetration. But this is a unit that's similar to Frederica, has a way of bypassing defenses and bypassing missile resistance. So previously, if you're fighting a ranged team, you can just build like very high missile resistance, and they're gonna have trouble, doing damage to you. Nivlu, which is commonly used, still has no way to reduce missile resist penetration. So, sorry, has no way to reduce missile resistance. But Frederica and now Lara Croft, both of them do have that. So those are all positives. Going into her Tomb Raider subjob, she has 2 skills. One of them decreases bravery by 25, and the other one has a chance to inflict poison. One note about the bravery is that for other units that have a skill like that, like I think the Dragoons have it, I think it's called like Dragoon's Roar or something, the decreased bravery is usually a chance. So it doesn't always land. It's like a 25% chance to land or something. That's what I've heard from other people. Now, obviously, I don't have Lara Croft and I haven't tested the skill out, so if I'm wrong about that, somebody can correct me. But I'm assuming that's still only a 25% chance to land. If it's a 100% chance to land, I think that's a great skill because bravery is an overall modifier. If you use it 3 times because it has 3 casts, you can basically reduce their bravery from like 97 down to 23, which is insane. So I'm going to assume that this is only a 25% chance to cast, but if it is a 100% chance and you can lower that bravery like that, that is an insane skill. And then, everything in the gunner and the ranger sub, like we already talked about, we already know. She has barrage, which is nice because that last skill is revolving. Sometimes it could be like mega charge or something, but it's good that she got barrage. For her limit burst, she does, it's a 200 mod, it's a 3-hit combo, and it decreases the chance of herself being targeted. So it's good for auto battles because it'll give her 2 extra attacks before enemies start targeting her. Now overall, I think she's good. Like she's a good water missile unit, but the reason that I'm gonna pass on her is because I think there's another water unit, which is better than her. That's the reason, to be honest. So the unit that I'm talking about is Venture Victoria. Right, and actually, I just want to look at one thing at the bottom here. So there is one critical difference that I just realized about Lara Croft compared to other units in general, because her blind seems to be 80% reduced accuracy, whereas other blinds are 50% reduced accuracy. So that's huge, I guess. 80% reduced accuracy is like pretty insane, but it is only a 25% chance to hit. Whereas other units, like for example, if it's on an LB like Winter Victoria, it's 67% chance to hit, so it's more likely to land. But anyway, the reason that I think Winter Victoria is better is so both of them have a barrier break, right? Venture Victor has a barrier break called Barrier Break Arrow, and Lara Croft has a similar skill. But Venture Victor can do a lot of other things as well. Like she can lower movement, which is great for these ranged units because as other units are trying to close the gap, these ranged units will try to maintain the distance as much as possible. So that -1 move is like really insane for that. She's also able to dispel buffs and haste. She is able to decrease attack and magic now with her job level 25 skill. Um, Lara Croft has some missile resist penetration, whereas Venture Victoria instead gets a lot more defense penetration. Um, so I mean, take that as you will. One is really good against high defenses. The other one is better against high missile resistance. Um, but I really like Winter Victor just because of all the other things that she can do. Like as a range unit, I think like Sniper is, in my opinion, like the best ranger sub job to have because you just have like so many things you can do with it. It still does a lot of damage. Like look, like the mod is 170%. Sure, Lara Croft has 200% mods, but usually 170% is fine, especially because it comes with something else. And Dispel Spread does have the 200% mod as well, and it dispels buffs, it dispels haste. Um, so I feel like a ranger unit that can do all these debuffs and remove buffs is a lot better than one that just does straight damage. The range is kind of comparable because now Winter Victoria with the upgrade she gets +2 range on the first skill on her super long range skill, and then she got a +1 range on her slow arrow. So this has an additional range, and I think that kind of makes it comparable range wise to Lara Croft. And then she also gets this skill, which has a range of 6. So this is probably similar range to like Barrage. So I think the range is similar. And then Winter Victoria also gets like defense on her paladin sub skills. Like she has Sentinel, which can boost her defense and spirit by 45. She has Saintly Wall, which can give her a shield for a physical shield for 3 times. And then her Limit Burst, I mean, it just does like a very good debuff for evasion. So if you're running Winter Victoria on evasion, you can run her on Dual Gunner, and she gives you 30 evade and 20 defense. And then you can also make use for Limit Burst to cast blind on opponents, and they will have trouble hitting you. So in my opinion, I like Winter Victoria better. Her HP is slightly better than Lara Croft at 2900 compared to 2600. She has very similar attack. I think Lara's was 450 something, where hers is 449. So again, very similar. She's a bit slower at 61 agility, but she has a passive that can increase her agility, whereas Lara does not. Similar dexterity values, a little bit lower luck, about 25 lower. Her resistances are not as nice because it has a -5% to magic. She only has 5% to missile, whereas Lara has 15. 5% to slash, whereas Lara has 10. So resistances aren't as nice, but she is overall more bulky because of more HP and more defense and more defensive skills. And I mean, maybe I'm also a little bit biased because I might already have her, and I have a ton of her shards already because she's been sitting in my barracks. But objectively speaking, I just find she is better with the skill set that she has. And because she has access to both missile and paladin subs, sorry, it's like missile type and slash type subs, she can chain with more units. Like she can chain with Titus, for example, whereas Lara will not. However, Lara has a lot of skills that does multi-hit, so that can also help with chaining as well. You won't get a like a water missile chain with her and Titus, but you will just get a water chain. And if you're chaining against like magic type, they don't even have like a water magic chain anyway. So you can use Lara to do like a 3-hit, and then you can just do a water chain with that, like use Ildira or more or something to do a ton of damage. So you can play her that way. So they do have advantages in both. Like Victor is able to chain with more units, but Lara has multi-hit skills that does overall higher damage once you do build up a chain. And of course, you can use both of them together. I think the two of them together is going to be an insane combo. Like you can use a water missile chain with Lara, and then hit with one of Winter Victora's skills, and you will do a ton of damage. You can do that. But I think that it's not worth the Vizier to invest in Lara for a unit that's like, I don't think she stands out enough from Winter Victora that I would pull and invest on her. Um, that's what I think. And also, like, if I look at other units, right? Like if I look at a unit like Titus, like I've done solo content with Titus all over the place. Where is he? Right, like he is a unit like, that I've done like solo raids with, for example, or duo raids, right? He has a ton of things. You can build a unit around him. Sorry, you can build a team around him. You can use. He has like very high HP, like almost 4K HP, very high attack, pretty high agility. That you can do this, and I don't know if you can do the same with Lara because she has, like her starting HP is a lot lower. She has higher evasion, so maybe if you're able to evade enough, you might be able to do the solo content similar to Titus, but that relies more on luck, whereas Titus is just, you don't need to worry about luck with him. He's just, him and his card, it almost always hits for max damage, like very easily, right? Whereas I have trouble seeing similar results for Lara. I haven't played her myself to confirm it, but just, seeing it, thinking about it, that's what I think. Um, so even like when I look at the two vision cards, her vision card seems great for a like a water missile team because it gives uh, 35 missile attack for water units. But there's only a couple of units that can really make advantage of it. Like you can run her alongside Winter Victora, and sure, as I said, they'll both be great together. But and then there's also that Amar Cyrese, and then I think there are lower variety units like Uni that you can run alongside them. But like Titus's card, like a lot of units do slash damage. Like even Eltira does like water slash because she has the Spellblade sub. You can use them alongside Winter Victora and do slash damage as well. So that card is useful for like like a lot more water units than this card is. So that's why I'm having trouble like recommending it. I mean, sure, it's a good card to have, and you already get it for free, and you're gonna get like 70 shards from the guild banners, and then you're gonna get a bunch more shards from the challenge board. So it's not a big deal to maximize it. Like it might just be like a few thousand Vizier to maximize it, and sure you can. But the card plus Lara is not going to be as good or as versatile as Titus plus his card or Cloud plus his card. Like Cloud plus his card, you can like again. I've been doing raids with it on my new account, and he's easily hitting like max damage, right? But this card and Lara, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to say for sure it's not going to hit it because I haven't played it or seen anybody play it, but I just have a gut feeling that it's not going to be as useful. And finally, other extenuating circumstances. I mean, we have so many banners going on right now. We have like the Final Fantasy VII banner, Starlight Alana sitting next week, and then we also have the rerun of the winter units. So among all that, I have trouble recommending Lara to anybody when all of this other good stuff is going on. If you really like the unit, if you really like Lara Croft, if you have a special attachment to her, definitely pull her because you're going to have a lot more fun playing a unit that you enjoy and that you like than just following somebody's advice and based on how good they are, because you can still make use of any unit. Just to give you an example, Charlotte was a unit that came out, and I had a low recommendation of her, especially for manual PvP. I said, you know what, like there is very few circumstances where I can think of using Charlotte, and now in my new account, she is one of the three main units that I'm going to be using, and I'm also going to be using her on manual PvP in CM this week. That's because like she is a unit that I happen to pull, and I already have Cloud, and she goes well with Cloud, so I have to use what I have, right? Like if instead I got Frederica, I would probably do Cloud plus Frederica, but I got Charlotte, so I'm making use of her, and I think she's still performing like really well for my account. But overall, I would rate her lower compared to other units, but it doesn't mean that I can't use her. Similar with Lara, like you still could use her, and you could still run her very well, but just overall, like relatively speaking, I just wouldn't outright recommend her, but you can still use her. Um, I think that's it. I've talked about the unit. I've talked about the vision card. Uh, yeah. So anyway, that's my 2 cents or in-depth guide on Lara Croft. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you guys have other questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below, and I'll try my best to address it. And I hope you guys have a good day. Take care now.